You've all had these really interesting sort of formative years, and I want to take a look at what brought you to the place where you're so fiercely independent.
Growing up, I could actually say my dad was the first women's liver. He raised me to be, and both folks did actually, but very independent. I could do anything I wanted. Nothing was gender specific with my dad. Everything worked out great with that kind of independence until I started exercising it when I was about 17.
What about the rest of you? You were raised in a time that was independence valued in your family? Was it valued by society, by your peers?
I didn't think of myself as independent particularly. I grew up in a pretty religious family too, so church was part of the life on a very daily basis. So I didn't try to not conform in that regard. But for myself, I always assumed I was going to college. And I guess that probably was a little different back then.
I grew up feeling the exact same way, and I remember being in an interview, and the principal said, "Now, why did you decide to go to college?" And I thought, well, why not? It just was something that I figured I would be doing.
All right, so just generally, how do you feel about the way the economy is right now?
Like the way things are going?
The way things are going.
I think it's hard to tell. I mean, there's signs that's getting better, but then there's a lot of signs that are still, staying the same or getting worse. So I think for the most part, gas prices have affected me. I'm a salesperson.
Oh, yeah.
So I drive a lot, and that's definitely impacted me the most.
Well, I think in general the economy is still not doing very well. I think it's definitely due to a lack of jobs.
Well, the economy's really cut into us.
It's been tough, but I'm able to come here and have a little bit of fun, and I'm not complaining.
Well, I own my own business, but the business is just staying afloat. He can't pay me, hasn't been able to pay me for a year and a half now.
Well, I think it's starting to pick up. I'm seeing some construction sites starting to open up.
For me, I've just come into a point where I'm done paying for college for my kids and things. So I've just sort of gotten to a point where I'm paying for myself.
Well, I haven't lost my job, so my income hasn't really been significantly affected.
It's really helped us realize and just kind of refine family life, living. It's not all about the dollar.
Kendra, for you, what did that mean when somebody said to you, hey, you're diabetic?
I didn't really know what that meant.
How did you feel?
Sad. I don't know why.
How did you feel when you found out your little girl was diabetic?
I'm really scared. I only know the bad things that happen to people that have diabetes. I didn't, never known anybody that had been diagnosed as a child with diabetes, so.
And so what came next? Diagnosis and then?
And then I had to go to I had to go get my blood drawn, and they had to do a whole bunch of stuff. And then I started doing shots and testing my blood sugar. I'm really independent that I could do it myself.
And so it was a transition like for you, Heather, from the sort of initial shock of what are we going to do to actually getting the training and seeing that your daughter can handle this a little bit independently.
Well, it went, somebody describes it as your kid getting diagnosed with diabetes is like having another kid almost. It was really like that. It was like we had this whole other thing that we had to start and do, something we thought about every hour of every day, that really controlled our lives for several months.
So what are some of the things that you figured out?
We know about how much insulin to give her. We're a lot better at counting carbs than we used to be. We know when to give the insulin. Now she has an insulin pump, so it's a lot easier. The pump will give her the appropriate amount of insulin.